20 seconds, yeah.
Oh, in YouTube, in the
In
little
YouTube, yeah.
channel. Yeah, okay.
15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Yeah.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the webinar of Faculty of Humanities, Samratulangi University, Manado. Faculty of Humanities is trying to answer the need of all stakeholders in English language teaching in this pandemic era. What has happened? How we should react? Is there any method best applied in online classes? Etc. So many questions popped up, and hopefully this webinar entitled English Teaching in Pandemic Era Challenges, Strategies, and Innovations will enlighten us, switch on ideas for our own classes, and also our projects. Today webinar, we will have several sections. The first is opening prayer, and then we will hear reports from the head of the organizing committee, Dr. Yulce Ratu. And then we will have also next a special remarks from Dean of Faculty of Humanities, Dr. Andes Raymond Mawikere, MA. And then we will have speakers presentation. The presentation will start with Dat Bao, PhD from Monash University. And then the second, Octavian Mantiri, MED, PhD from Klabat University. The third speaker is Andres Hamenda, SAMCOM, MBA as CEO Punya Harapan. And then fourth speaker is Maya Waro, SS, MHUM, MED, PhD from Samratulangi University. And we will have QA session, discussion. If we have time, we will have discussion, but just a QA session. And then we move to closing remarks from Secretary of the Committee, Stephanie Sigarlaki SSM Hum, and the last is photo session. I will read some notices in here. Please pay attention. During the webinar, we would ask you to mute your microphone. And if there is something you want to say, please use the chat room instead. The chat room using only for topics and matters relevant. Include questions. Please do not share any other thing irrelevant with the webinar. And also the attendance link will share in chat room in around QA session. You can also follow this webinar on our official YouTube channel, Fakultas Ilmu Budaya Universitas Samratulangi. Now, before we begin, please allow me to lead the opening prayer and allow me to lead according to my belief, Christian. Let's pray together. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for everything you have done for us. And also we thank you for everything you have been to us. Even though we don't have everything we want, but yeah, we have everything we need. We thank you for that, Father. And today, on this beautiful day, we will start our webinar in this pandemic era. We hope this webinar will be a fruitful one, will be a goodness, something that come out from this pandemic of COVID-19. Please guide us and let your wisdom be upon us. So the speakers and also all the participants will get something valuable on this webinar. May your blessed be upon us forever and ever. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. Now we move to the remarks from the head of the organizing committee, Dr. Yulce Ratu, SSM Marketing. The floor is yours, ma'am, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Meita.
Yeah.
So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here today at this wonderful time. My name is Yul Ceratu, as mentioned before. It is such an honor for me to speak on behalf of the organizer. Let me begin by giving you a warm welcome to the English teaching in pandemic era, challenges, strategies, and innovations seminar. Welcome to our speakers, Mr. Datbao from Monash University, Mr. Octavian Mantiri from Universitas Kelabat, Mr. Andres Hamenda from Yayasan Punya Harapan, and Ms. Maya Waro from Faculty of Humanities, Samratulangi University. Before we get started, I would like to express my appreciation to the committee who generously helped us make this seminar come true. Mr. Mawikere as a dean, Ms. Waro as a vice dean of academic affairs, Ms. Kapo.
Hmm. Sorry, I think we lost Dr. Yulcha due to the bad connection. We'll wait.
Hello? Yeah?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, sorry for the connection, the bad connection. Okay, before we get started, I would like to express my appreciation to the committee who generously helped us make this seminar come true. Mr. Mawikere as a dean, Ms. Waro as a vice dean of academic affairs, Ms. Kapo as MC, and the rest of the committee. We could not have done it without you. In today's seminar, we could learn challenges, strategies, innovations in English teaching, especially in pandemic era. In the pandemic era, challenges is like strategies and innovations that play very important roles to make our English teaching be successful. The teaching with interesting and unique methods will be enjoyed by more students. As a result, it will be more attractive compared to other teaching with boring or no innovation at all. I hope that this seminar will help you teach your students. Well, I do not want to take too much of your time. I need to hand over it to Ms. Meita Kapo, our today's MC, to introduce our speakers to all of you. I would like to say once more on behalf of the seminar organizer, welcome. It is great to see so many of you here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, for the remarks. And then next, we will have a special remarks from our dean, Mr. Dr. Randes Raymond Mawikere, MHUM, MA. The floor is yours, Pa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Again and again, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Selamat bakudapa. Selamat
Selamat
bakudapa,
berkuda.
maybe it means nice to meet you. Okay? Ah. First, as Dean Faculty of Humanities, I appreciate and many thanks to first for the organizing committee, participants, and especially for the Mr. Dat, Miss Dat,
Thank you. Yes.
from Monash University. The second, Mr. Andreas Ameda, MBA. The owner, CEO, Punya Harapan Foundation, I think. and also Mr. Octavian Mandiri from Klabat University, and the last but not least, Maya Pinkanwaro from Monash University, and now from this faculty. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this event will talk about English teaching practices in pandemic era. This topic is very important
Yeah.
to, to be addressed in order to overcome this gap in English during the pandemic of COVID-19. I do really hope that today, I do really hope that today's event will contribute to the field of English language teaching.
Yep.
And yeah, finally, we welcome you all to this webinar, and please enjoy for this event. Please allow me to open this webinar officially. Thank you.
Thank you for officially open our webinar today, and thank you for also for the warm welcome for our speakers. And now, before we continue, I want to inform you that we already have 300 participants in Zoom, and some of them also in YouTube, follow in YouTube channel. So I want everybody, before we move to speaker's presentation, to be relaxed, because I saw many stiff face and I want to be relaxed so we can absorb more when we relax, but still focus, of course. We can absorb more from our speakers because they will speak from their forte. They are experienced and also already conduct many research in their field. And then I guarantee you, all participants, this is not just a dime a dozen knowledge or information. This is useful insight and in-depth information about English language teaching in this pandemic era. So, without further ado, I will introduce our first speaker. He is a senior lecturer at Monash University, Australia. He has previously worked with Leeds Beckett University in UK, Cornell University in USA, the National University of Singapore, and the Assumption University of Thailand. His expertise included curriculum design, intercultural communication, material development, literacy development, creative pedagogy, and visual pedagogy in language education. He is the author of Understanding Silence and Reticence, Nonverbal Participation in Second Language Acquisition, Bloomsbury 2014, Poetry for Education, Classroom Ideas That Inspire Creativity, Ex Libris 2017, Creativity and Innovations in ELT Material Development, Looking Beyond the Current Design, published in Multilingual Matters 2018. On today's occasion, he will talk about defensive teaching and learning experiences from Australia. The talk shares a few ideas drawn from practices at Monash University, which reveal social, academic, cognitive, and affective strategies that can be adopted for teaching and learning concept of Manado in context of Manado. He believes that education can be filled with unexpected challenges due to constantly changing circumstances, just like nowadays, which is pandemic COVID-19. So please join me in welcoming Dat Bao PhD. The floor is yours, sir, and your time is 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you. The
Thank
floor
you
is
very
yours.
much. Thank you very much, Meta, for your beautiful
Yeah, you're
introduction.
welcome.
Can I just take this opportunity because I prepared the slides to present already, but I would
Yes.
love to hear from you a little. So I'm going to share a table and then you will tell me a few ideas so I can put in a table. I want to collect your concern before I speak. I'm going to share screen now. Thank
Yeah.
you. I hope you can see this. I was just trying to see what I can get from you so that I can respond better. Now, I have here, I think, yeah, because recently I think you and I, we all moved, migrated to the online space for teaching and learning. And when we think back and compare with the way we do work in a face-to-face setting, they are not the same. Yeah, people keep talking about this, but no one has really put this in system. And I thought maybe this will help me to understand what you are doing as well as I can share with you what I'm doing. So this is a bit of a table I constructed before we met today. And then there were two spaces here. I would like to hear from you just a few words or keywords about things that you think we can do in one mode but not the other. And I'm going to write them here. We can cite this for discussion. I will send this to you. I think this is something interesting that we can get together, put together. So quickly, anyone, yeah, including the audience, please tell me things that you think you used to do very well in a face-to-face environment, but now we struggle, we can't do it anymore in an online setting. And also things that we can do in an online setting that we can't do in a face-to-face setting. Let me
Maybe
start with
from teacher one, and then from
both from
students
teacher.
one.
Yes, from both, because I put here teaching and things that
Yes.
we used to do very easily, but now we can't. We struggle with it. I'm going to use the first column first. What do you think, what you miss about face-to-face teaching and learning? You can just give me words. I'm going to type. I will share this with you with comments after this event. Yep.
Okay, anybody? Maybe teachers?
Yes, feel free.
Start
Yep.
with lecturer.
Anyone. Yep. Can start with anyone. We can talk at the same time as well.
You can
Well,
unmute
well,
yourself.
I guess the first thing we miss much is
Yes.
the face-to-face, the real face, not the emoji or the avatar.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's for me.
You miss the real face. Sometimes we see the whole person, Now we don't see everything. Yeah, we see
Yeah,
just the face, and sometimes the face doesn't move. Yeah. So
yeah,
we want to we miss seeing the real face and person. Yeah.
right.
Real person in full. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me more. That's good. That's a good start.
Maybe from the
Yep.
students.
Yes,
What
from
do you
students. It's
miss?
all right. We need to know what you miss so that we can make it
Yeah.
happen
Yes,
in an
Saya.
online space for you. Yeah, don't be shy.
So thank you. I think that the after real face in persons, which make me really miss in a
Yes.
face-to-face teaching and learning. The second one
Yes.
is the way how to understand something more vivid and clear, because
Yes.
during the pandemic, this is
Yeah.
this is very hard to
Clarity. Yeah.
understand points vividly and clear. Thank you.
Yes. So clarity is what was the first thing you mentioned again just now? I couldn't hear.
Excuse me.
As you said two things. Yeah. The first thing and
Yes.
then what was the first thing again?
The first one is the clear explanations, and
Yes.
the same. I just use the same term for the
Okay, sure.
clarity and the vivid.
Clear
Clarity.
explanation. Yes,
Yes.
clarity. We easily feel the message, not just
Yeah.
listen to it. Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
More, please. Yes.
Anybody?
Yeah, don't be
Maybe
shy.
tutors. Tutors from English learning. English. center, or don't have to be a lecturer, or from schools, teacher from international schools.
Yeah. What about interaction? How do you feel? Was it the same as an online setting? The way we interact? Any comment from you?
Okay, I
For
think
example,
I think
yes,
it's a different interaction. Yeah,
yes,
in a real classroom, we can really have the atmosphere of,
yes,
you know,
yes,
even as teachers, if somebody don't know for sure what the explanation, then we
yes,
can really, what's it called, um,
yes,
kind of the kind of empathy.
yes,
Yeah, I think that's what we miss in
yes.
online
There's a
teaching.
lot of feeling. We can
Feeling,
feel,
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
we
feeling,
can walk
the feeling
around.
with,
Yeah.
yeah, the bonding with the students
mhm,
are
Yes,
really kind
yeah,
of separated.
yes. The feeling, the bonding, the senses. Sometimes we
Yeah,
can smell. If
yeah,
someone bring in coffee, we can smell the coffee. We can touch the table. So more senses are being used. Yep, that's great. Any more?
there is a answer in chat. They said facility.
Yeah, so can I answer? So
Yes, please,
face to
please.
face teaching
Yes,
and learning doesn't need a high quality facility like phone or laptop, but in
yes.
online we need a good smartphone or good laptop. Yeah, so it can go very well. Yeah,
Oh,
let's
okay.
see. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
Benefit of
you.
online teaching. Yeah, we have technology to use. Yeah, more technology. Yeah, more functions. Anything about online teaching and learning that we can do better or more that face-to-face can't?
The simplicity, I think, for the
Yeah.
online teaching,
Yes,
simplicity, like,
simplicity.
yeah, we don't need to have a paper, we just need to have a
Yes,
program, yeah, like PPT or
yes,
something.
Yeah,
yes. Make it simple, straightforward. We start a lesson quickly, and we watch the time more. I
yeah,
think timing is timing control, timing management is
Yeah,
important. So we really consider this. Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, my
thank you.
pleasure. Anything else? Like right now we are recording, so I don't think we can easily record in the face-to-face setting. I would say the benefit, yeah,
Yep,
we
correct,
can
correct.
document, yeah, recording and
Record.
document the event so that absent students can come back and listen or watch.
Yeah.
We can't do that in a face-to-face setting unless we set up a camera work. Anything else about face-to-face? What about sharing documents? Like we share screen. Like students can also share screens, sharing documents easily.
Documents.
But in a face-to-face classroom, we can't do it easily. Yeah, unless we have an optical reader in the room that shows
Yep,
things on the
correct.
screen when we put it on the device. Um, so any last ideas about the differences?
Some say flexible in time
Yes,
flexibility.
yes. Which one? Do we have more time flexibility in a real classroom?
Online
Online,
teaching and
yes.
learning. Yes.
Yes, we can easily set up, and no matter how busy you are, if you have a little time, you can join. Yeah, flexibility in terms of availability. Yeah,
Yes.
yes, in availability. For example, if we have to go to a real classroom, we need at least 3 hours for travel
Yep,
and be there.
correct.
But with online, if you have half an hour, you can still join. That's a good thing. Yeah. I'm sure there may be more, but the difference between the two means a lot in our pedagogy, because once we are aware of differences, we might like to consider, for example, bring in a few factors in face-to-face. When we think about, for example, atmosphere, very hard to build the atmosphere because we don't use the senses. So in today's discussion, I'm talking particularly about atmosphere. We build bonding. It's very, very difficult to build bonding. And my colleagues and I at Monash University, we think a lot about how to build bonding. So I will share with you 7 things that I do at Monash University that works. Other things that don't work, I will not say because it's embarrassing for me, but it's all right.
Okay.
But I do things that I really emphasize that I strongly recommend that you might like to do with me after this is focus on building the atmosphere and bonding with students. Because through the bonding, we understand, like Mrs. Gonda just said, empathy. We need empathy to learn. I stopped sharing this. I will save this and send you in the future with comments, but I will move on to the slides. Yeah, I think I have 20 minutes. So I thought I already used
Yeah.
more than 5 minutes, but let me try and share. Let me open it first to make sure it's easy to share. Yeah, bear with me 1 second. Okay, I'm opening it and then I share. Yeah, so it's gonna be share screen again. Yep, it's here. So I actually prepared this talk only for you. Yeah, when I got invitation from you. Yeah, I call it defensive teaching, way of supporting students' learning. Let me be very straight. First of all, what is to be defensive? This is just a term I learned from in Australia. Defensive is to resist threats, to fight against problems, to protect ourselves, to do things despite issues. Yeah, for example, in this picture, you and I are doing this at the moment to protect us from virus. Yeah. It came from this term that people use a lot in Australia, defensive driving. Defensive driving means driving safely despite problems in the situations. What are some of those problems? Poor weather conditions, the careless driving of others, angry drivers, congestion, traffic jam, flood, sometimes heavy storm, sometimes fog in London, where people have fog, compact ice in New York all the time, mountain, maybe in Indonesia, some people drive in the mountain, and high cliffs. So these are dangerous situations that we have to deal with as a driver. Life is never peaceful. So the rule is people advise drive as if there were drunk drivers all around you. This is defensive driving. So we need an outcome. We are expected to be safe even when people are not, but we are. And I borrow this idea because it applied very well in the pandemic era. Yeah. So imagine, yeah, this is not defensive driving. This is normal driving and you are in trouble. Defensive teaching is similar. Teaching effectively despite problems in the surrounding situation. What are those problems? Student demoralization, motivation drop, restrained learning condition, like we said just now, we can't see the face or the whole person, we can't build empathy, unauthentic interaction, we don't feel the signal, weak bonding, depression, sometimes at home we are locked up like in a cage and we can't move out, we can't, human are social beings, if we can't move out, we feel cramped even in the head, and learning style is suffering from limitation. So I use a funny picture here. Students said sometimes, I'm so bored, I can't even sleep. Yeah. So the rule is we will try to teach as if only sleepy students were given to us. So our job, the expected outcome is we must wake up students with our teaching. So I'm talking about this today. And then just now we brainstorm and tap into some of these things. We are suffering from these areas. For example, some teachers told me they use a lot more resources from the internet when they teach online, such as YouTube, pictures, content. But the thing is, students can do this too. We are the expert. We are supposed to give students something from our knowledge. But if we get something that students can always get, they can go to YouTube and type the name of our lesson, they will get the same lesson or similar. And so we lose our footing as the expert. That is what a lot of teachers, especially in Thailand, said. And then some of these things suffer, like energy can drop because we don't have social setting to operate within, and our confidence, because some of us are untechnological, we don't know what kind of apps functions that we can use to enhance the work. And sometimes students, like some of our students just said now, clarity is an issue, so quality drop because clarity is unclear. And then time is a problem sometimes because time is little. We have to prepare so much more to do so much less. And then there will be confusion and dissatisfaction among our students. We want to go to class, but we can't. We want to socialize, but difficult. And so some of the feeling is dropping, and teachers struggle to build customized resources, because in the past we had a lot of resources ready-made built already that we can just use. Now we can't use them anymore. Yeah. So we have to rebuild everything. And also in some contexts, in rural areas in our countries or in China, students complain to me that their access to internet is very weak, and they can't use Gmail, and they can't use YouTube in China, for example. So a lot of technological issue came up. That is the situation, and I had to adjust my teaching accordingly. So this is just a fun cartoon to show. This is about defensive teaching, defensive learning. When wrong things happen, we have to cope. And I think cope is the key word. I remember when I was a child in primary school, I sometimes complained that my teacher were difficult to understand. So my dad said, you need to learn well, no matter how bad your teacher is. Learning is your job. So I thought about that time as defensive learning. So I guess today generation grew up with a lot of resources around us. Yeah, entertainment resources, technology, access to knowledge, better economy. But the moment our country got shut down, motivation suffer as well. Motivation can be shut down as well. How to build motivation. These are things that I've done over the last year since February, yeah, when semester started in Australia. Peer mentoring, more guidance for students, more student support, team teaching in particular. I teach with teachers at the same time. Sometimes I appear on the screen like this with one more teacher or 4 teachers. We will try to make the lesson simple. Sometimes someone mentioned simplicity, and I'm glad you did. Lesson in an online space very difficult to deliver. You might like to consider making it very, very simple. Otherwise, we can't teach the same way as in the class. And then there's a need to employ more picture because we see less of our students. Our students need to see more. And finally, the most important thing, but I put it last, is entertainment. Make people enjoy learning. How do we do this? So I'm gonna try to go a bit faster. I just mentioned, and then I will pause when there's a need to explain more. Peer mentoring is using students who came before to help students who came later. And then we have a system of doing this. Sometimes we appoint mentors to new students so that they are guided by their previous brother and sister to learn better. And we have an organization in the university to do this. We have a list of names. And then intensive guidance in online space. We have a lot of, we call them kind of a template with sections for students to go to, how to talk to the teaching team, where to go and get reading, announcement, everyday things change, questions and answers all the time. We keep track of this. Learning community is about resources available. And then how we mark students, how we evaluate. There are various teams in the university who provide students support in writing, advice on assessment, advice on life when they get in trouble. So a whole lot of teams to actually support when students feel depressed or sad or struggle with learning, or they get sick, or they don't understand, or they want to complain about a teacher, they can go here. So these are resources that we support. Yeah, so we have a lot of folders, and we have staff who take care of this. We also give students staff contacts so that they can email, they can call, they can talk to staff members who are related. And we have this, I think you might use this too. It's called Workplace. It's from Facebook. It's one part of Facebook where lecturers come together, and every day if we get into a problem, we tell everyone and how we deal with it. If we succeed in using a method, we tell everyone and people comment. So we really learn from each other tremendously on an everyday basis in workspace. Number 4 is team teaching. Yeah, I teach with other people all the time. In every subject, or we call unit in Australia, we always have at least 4 teachers to teach the same subject. And we take turn, or sometimes we teach together, or sometimes we take different small groups. But the way we organize it is so that students don't get bored, because seeing the same teacher in online
Good morning,
space.
good afternoon,
This
or
is
good
an
evening,
example.
depending on when you're watching this.
This week we are talking about the topic gathering evidence.
And this presentation will have 2 parts. In part 1, we're going to explore how education issues are constructed and presented in the literature through naming, framing, and discursive representation.
In part 2,
yeah, so that is an example. We introduce ourselves, and every week they might see a different face, and we dress ourselves differently to attract students' attention, so they don't get bored when they see us. And we have a summary and an outline. So like we said just now, make teaching simple and easy. Yeah, so we give side posting, introduction, summary very clearly. And then we also do this. At the end of the lesson, we test students' understanding. So we, in case they sleep or they go away, they just silence themselves or off their camera and go do something because they are bored, we will test their understanding. We mention one thing in it, and we ask if they know. For example, we use a kind of food in our lesson, and we say, okay, everyone, what food did we mention today? You know, so anyone who can name that food means they are there. They have always been there.
So our next part of this presentation will be presented by the library advisors, Jan and Sylvia, and they will discuss how you can deal with these different ideas, concepts, perspectives in your investigations.
We have 2 more staff
but before
members
we pass this on to Jan and Sylvia, I would like to say, Katrina, that I really like your examples about Iceland, because it brings our perspectives and show how we can frame issues.
Let's make it the word of the week.
Yeah,
Iceland?
the word of the week is the test.
That's
Yeah.
a good idea. So this is your word of the week.
If students know this word,
Hello,
they have
my
been
name is
with
Sylvia,
us.
and I'm your subject librarian for education.
And I'm Jan Pinder, and I'm the Learning Skills Advisor for Education. So you've been learning from Katrina and Dat about the notion of evidence and different types of evidence in the literature. So now Sylvia and I are going to give you some tips, some techniques and some examples of how to deconstruct your question, research it, and be able to extract the relevant information from the evidence in response to the issue that you're researching.
So this lesson is about how to find a topic.
The question that we are focusing on today is it helpful?
I will stop here. The topic of this lesson is about how to build a topic and research into it by using library resources. So these 2 experts, they are library experts. They guide students through what we started. Yeah, we started giving them ideas about how to shape a topic, and now these 2 experts will come in and say, okay, with that topic, how do you search for relevant resources? So this presentation is a very typical of what we are doing at Monash University, where sometimes we have 4 lecturers, and sometimes some of us may not be lecturer, but they are expert different aspects. They will come in and show students how to connect resources with learning. So that's part of it. I'm gonna move on to.
So our next part of this presentation.
Sorry. Let me see how to. Now, this go back to the question of clarity and simplicity. How do we make the lesson easy to learn? There are ways of doing it, but I will show you an example here. I like to draw. Sometimes if I can't draw, I will use internet picture, but these are my drawings. I do it for my students. I was teaching about the history of the silent period, and it was the history, just 4 panels here, tell them the history. I'll quickly explain it. So back in 1980s, when communicative approach was becoming important, every student were expected to speak more English in the classroom. However, many continued to be silent. And there was this expert called Dulay in linguistics. He was puzzled, and he said, we need to find out why students were silent. So he started to coin this concept called the silent period. When he introduced this concept in a publication in 1982, people had a lot of questions. They started off asking, how long does the silent period last? Some scholars said a few months, some said a few hours, some said a few years, and some said forever. So scholars really disagree about the time span of the silent period. It was a confusing philosophy. And then people started to try and explain the nature of the silent period. Some of them say the silent period is not a good time because people struggle, they don't understand, they get lost, they are incompetent. But others say they are busy negotiating knowledge in order to build competence. Others say this is a good time because they are using mental processing to learn. The fact they don't speak doesn't mean they are lazy. So in terms of significance, people disagree. And these are real conversation in publication. And then finally, they decided that to understand the silent period, people have to research. But then when they appeal to SLA experts to conduct research, SLA experts refused, and they said, no, in SLA, talk is important. It is talk that build competence. We have no time to look into silence. And that is why the silent period suffer from the lack of research. And not many people really understand the role of silence in second language development. So I was teaching a lesson like that. Normally in the real classroom, I teach for an hour or two. But in an online setting, I teach it in 10 minutes and students understand and remember. So this is how I make the lesson simple. Another way of making the lesson simple is draw the lesson instead of tell the lesson or discuss too much. This is a timeline for how things develop. And you draw a lesson with perspective. You draw a lesson with history and debate. Yeah, those are 3 areas that you can easily draw the lesson instead of write the lesson. Yeah. So I was just saying, in 50 to 60, this is happening. In the 60, this is happening. 80. So how things change. It works very well with history, again, with debate, with perspective, and with contribution, and with a discussion. I use this a lot in my teaching. Now, this is another way of making the lesson easy. I use a lot of metaphor. Metaphor is an amazing way to capture information. Instead of explaining too many concepts, too much abstract ideas, I will use not just a picture, but I transfer idea into specific icon or artifact. Now, this snowman that you see on the screen is not a snowman, it's a topic for research. Yeah. So I imagine topic for research, and in a real face-to-face setting, when I explain how to contextualize a topic for research, it took at least 2 hours. And students struggle a lot. They say, what is contextualization? Is context a place? I said, no, context is not a place. So how do we contextualize? They really struggle. So putting a topic in the context and see how it works is a very, very difficult lesson. Now I turned this lesson into something very simple. I said, okay, once upon a time, there was a snowman standing in the wind. One day, along came a man with a cap, and the man saw a snowman being so lonely. He put a cap on the snowman as a gift, walk away. The next thing, there was another man coming and he has a scarf. So he donated the scarf to the snowman. Come along, come a man with a carrot, gave the snowman a carrot and went away. Now, and then someone gave sticks. Yeah, so you see this snowman begin to take some shape. Now, this snowman again is a topic or an issue of interest, but what you see haven't been added to this topic is contextual elements. There are things added. And why do we add these things to the issue? Why does the snowman need these things? And my students say the snowman needs these things just to look better, just to be more well-defined, to have character, to be interesting, attractive, so that people look at snowman more, and they are absolutely right. When a topic is not contextualized, people don't listen to it. It doesn't have meaning. So we add meaning to a topic. Yeah. So these elements stands for contextual factors, and these factors help shape the issue, make the issue very sharp, interesting, and meaningful. We call refining. So by modifying the snowman, we make the snowman more worthwhile, more interesting. Now, the act of connecting issue with a broader context is called contextualization. And with this explanation, students understand. They say, now we understand. We remember the next time you ask, we can tell you. Yeah. So I do a lot of these things in my lessons today in order to help students learn. So the last thing I share, just now take 3 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
Entertainment is so important. I know I have a professor in England, and my professor is very interesting. Sometimes he acts like an animal. He talk about nature, and he just pretend to be an animal, and he looks very silly. He said the greatest teacher is the one who dare to be stupid for students to learn. One time at a conference in Indonesia, in Yogyakarta, he was invited. His name is Brian Tomlinson. I think you've heard about him. He's the best scholar in the world in material development in English language teaching, Brian Tomlinson. So he came to Jogja at a conference. And before he started giving his talk, he said this. He said, what I am going to share with you may be rubbish. Please forgive me. You use it as you like. If you can't, please forgive me. He's a humble person. And later I use this in other countries when I go and give a talk. I said, what I'm going to tell you may be stupid, may be rubbish. And some of my audience very confused. They said, you are the expert. We invite you to share great knowledge. And if what you say is rubbish, what about us? Do we choose the wrong person? You know, they laugh at me. Yeah. So the idea is to play with students. Learning is playing. Yeah. Okay, this is something I put online for students to learn last week. I was talking to them about contextualization again in English language teaching. And sometimes when we teach students words like, this is an apple, that is a sport, this is a mountain, we don't contextualize these ideas enough. So when our students learn, they feel it doesn't make sense. Why do you look at an apple and you say, this is an apple? When do you do that in real life? It doesn't make sense. There's no context. We never look at an apple and say, this is an apple. We never do that. So my students disagree with me. So I put it, this is my drawing. Yeah. I put this in a textbook. This one has been published. Yeah. So I put characters who are aliens. So when aliens came to our planet, they don't know anything about life on Earth. They don't know what the apple is. They thought apple is just some human. Yeah. So they asked, what is this? So children on the planet say, oh, you don't know this. This is an apple. Yeah. So the talk suddenly become lively and meaningful. So I put this in a lesson. And then I put some music into the lesson. Along with this lesson, this is a song that I just played at the beginning of the discussion. and I post this lesson online. So when students see this lesson, they learn and they listen to the sound. They feel relaxed. Just now, Miss Melta talked about relaxation, and this is what
Yes,
we do.
correct.
Yeah, yeah. So after they read this lesson, they send me an email immediately. Yeah, one of them wrote, "I can't help saying thank you so much for the background music you put in PowerPoint in lesson 9. When I started reading PowerPoint and heard the music, I was so amazed and relaxed. I felt free from stress. It helped me absorb information and assist my brain function. The music is so soft and relaxing. After reading, I feel, first of all, I remember my time in New Zealand. Yeah. And then after that, the whole day I was in a good mood and I learned better. Very little thing make a difference. So I think you and I should not underestimate the value of entertainment. Now, this is very stupid. In Japan, people have this in some factory. Factory workers can be very stressed and sometimes they are depressed and they're even angry and they can die at work. So one thing that the boss does was they put their image in the puppet in a separate room with a baseball bat. And when you are stressed, you can go to that room. There's no camera, no one see you. You can pick up the baseball bat and you whack the puppet of the boss to show your anger. So sometimes in a lockdown time, yeah, we angry, we sad, we don't know, we lonely, and we need to get rid of emotion, of bad emotion. So one thing I do was I stack up boxes and I kick them. I express my anger and I tell students, you can do the same. This is what I do. So I show my students this and they laugh and they do the same. This is me, yeah. Yep. So I act very stupid here. So the student know it's okay to be stupid. We are human. We are normal. Sometimes we create a gap. We are like a saint or God. We are far from children. We have so much knowledge. We are so important. Our degree is so high. We don't have to do this. Sometimes we just become stupid with them. So they learn with us as well. And then not just me, but other lecturers at Monash University, they are happy to act stupid sometimes. The thing is, because we are very smart, when we act stupid, we don't succeed. We still look smart, but it's okay. So we wrote this song for students. Actually, it's a famous song in the 50s called Stand By Me. I'm sure all of you know this. All of our students here who play music, they know this song. So my colleague Damon, yeah, an Australian lecturer, and myself, we adapted the lyrics of this song. And of course, you know the lyric, but we changed them when the time has come. And this song is motivational song for students to feel happy. We said, when the time has come and deadline of assignment is near, assignment is the only thing that you must do. Do you think I'm afraid? No, I won't be afraid. Just as you teachers stand by me. So teachers, stand by me, stand by me. The issue or the topic we investigate or we write the essay should challenge. My argument won't come together. We cannot develop what we need to say in the essay. I won't cry. I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you lecturer stand by me. So we sing this song for students. And here I capture a little bit of the song. So you see what we did. On the right, 4 lecturers of Monash University, Damon, Sylvia, Cynthia. In the red one's called Cynthia, and then Julie Harrington, yeah. And me was on the guitar in the middle. And on the left, we have 2 students that join us. So we perform this song at in a lecture hall. And we post it.
What an interesting class.
Yep, there are some Indonesian students in the class, and they are very, very happy.
Pardon me,
Yes,
Dad.
yes,
Time almost up.
yes. So I think I finished already, but this
Oh,
is just for you
okay.
to look at, I wrote a song for students to encourage their learning. And so I think this is the last one, but I just show you half of it. Yeah. So I play on in a Zoom lesson. Yeah. When you write a thesis, don't think that it is pain. When you lose your night's sleep, you know there's something to gain. When it requires you to read more, oh yes, treat it like a chore. This is blue, this is blue, oh sorrow, me and you. This is blue, this is blue, oh sorrow, me and you. And when you write a thesis, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. I think that's about it. I will just leave it here. I will send this to you all, but thank you for allowing me
Thank
to use
you.
more time. Yeah, but
Yes.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Dad. And you already have an extra time because Ma'am Maya
Yes.
willingly to give you her
Oh
time
no,
slot.
no, sorry
That's
about
okay
that.
because it's very
Yes,
interesting,
yes,
interesting
thank you. Thank you
material,
so much.
defensive teaching. So teachers must cope the difficulties and still deliver best quality in teaching. No matter what, teachers struggle, stress out, student inconsistent network, you must cope with everything and still deliver
Yes,
the best.
yes,
Defensive teaching, very good, very good.
you.
And all that was only the beginning. Our
Yes,
next topic is no less interesting. So I will directly introduce our second speakers. And I still remind you, if there is any question you want to ask, please type down in the chat room. While the speakers give presentation, you can type your question, and in the qa session we will read the questions. Okay, we continue. Our second speaker, by being a role model to family, colleagues, students, and community through his institution, is the way he serves God. He got his bachelor degree in University of Klabat, then continued his study in Australia for master and doctoral degree in education. He is an awardee of Australian government scholarship, both AUS8 and ATCAS. He has built a strong career abroad, to be exact, in Asia Pacific International University in Thailand for 10 years, but then coming back for the calling of his alma mater. And now he is a senior lecturer of Faculty of Education and the director of Research Department of Klabat University. You can find his works in Social Science Research Network, SSRN, including Is Multiple Intelligence Theory Relevant in Teaching Today, 2013, Individual Variations in Second Language Acquisition, 2014. His works also been published in Linguistics and Literature Studies entitled Principles in Language Learning Motivation in 2015, and the latest one published in Universal Journal of Educational Research entitled Digital Literacy in ESL Classroom 2019. So now he will share his expertise. Please welcome Octavian Mantiri, MED, PhD. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the introduction.
You're welcome.
And
My
I should
pleasure.
thank also for Dr. Datbao for the presentation. Very
you.
practical, and I think we learned a lot. So I'm just wondering if he said his presentation can be silly or stupid. I don't know about me. I don't know what criteria I should use, but But thank you so much for that inspiring thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, let me share my screen for this presentation, and hopefully it will not take long. Okay. I think you can see the screen now, I hope.
Yep, we can see that.
Okay, thank you. Mine is a little bit different from the approach used by Dr. Datbao. I think I looked at more general. When I was given the title English Teaching in Pandemic Era, Challenges, Strategies, and Innovation, this is a huge topic. And I don't know if I will be able to cover all this in 20 minutes, but I will try. I think this is a very significant and very current, okay, because we are all affected by this, wherever we are with technological devices we have, we still have to deal with this issue of pandemic. So please bear with me for these 20 minutes, I hope. Let's look at the, the issues here. I think this is a very familiar picture. We all are aware of this situation now. And there is no part of the world that is not affected by this COVID-19, this pandemic. And we are familiar with the concept of school lockdown, work from home, and the digital or the gadget we have. In the past, students would not be allowed to bring their gadget to school or lecturers, but now they are forced to learn with the gadget. So these are well too familiar to us. And now I want to mention that this presentation will attempt to address some of the teachers' voices in the form of the following questions. The first one was, what has changed in English teaching now compared to before COVID-19? And the second one is, what are the challenges? The third one, what are the strategies? And the fourth one, what are the innovations? I think Dr. Datbao has presented some of the strategies and innovations they use. And I think that's very relevant to this topic. So answers from these questions are based on my personal independent research, as well as on my ongoing personal experience. And we have to take note that this is viewed from the teacher's perspective, okay, unless it is stated otherwise. Okay, let's look at the first question. What has changed in English teaching now compared to before COVID-19? I think we have so much information about this, what has happened now. The first thing is, let's look briefly on the instructional medium. Well, the mode of teaching now or during this pandemic era has gone online, and it is becoming the new standard for education. And I think now, after 8 months, the pandemic started, teachers and students are beginning to accept this new normal way of teaching, and especially English teaching. So the medium of instruction has changed. How about the attitudes? Well, the attitudes also, uh, I think we as teachers now have started to accept and welcome the challenges of online instruction. And I think teachers in general are now able to embrace online teaching, synchronous as well as asynchronous. And we can see that. And I think Dr. Bao has already clearly explained that online teaching there, in their context, have been part of or are embraced well in the institution. And the venue also has changed. Now the concept of work and study from home has become a common knowledge for educators or those who are interested in education. And the content also. The content has changed now, and there is a gradual shift from hard copy to e-copy textbooks. And with the availability of these online contents from social media platforms have also changed. So these are the changes in English teaching now before the COVID-19. So again, this is what I observe in general. So let's come to the core thing, that is the standard, because this is a critical element. And I had questions myself, and I will ask also maybe Dr. Datbao would assist in this. What about the standards? What happened to the standards? Because to be honest, when this pandemic started, the teaching and learning shifted online. Arguably, teachers are caught by surprise. And in the way the standard of teaching and learning are measured, because there is the word compromise. We, especially in this part of the world, struggle with the internet connection, which is unreliable most of the time. So should we maintain the standard we have teaching face-to-face or in person with the standard online? I don't have answers myself. I'm still also struggling to find out the rationale for this. And I think we all agree, and maybe Dr. Datbao would give us insight on how it is done in their institution. But the quality, as mentioned also previously, has dropped as a result of this pandemic. So these are the 5 core changes that I see is happening now, and they are significant to the outcome of education as in general, not only in teaching English, but also in education in general. Now, the next question is, what are the challenges? I think the challenges are mentioned, a few by Dr. Dat, and there are external challenges, that is the computer, the smartphones, the internet connection, and the venue, which are mostly unreliable, and also the internal challenges I see, such as the technological skills by the teachers, as well as the students, and also internal challenges of attitude towards online teaching and learning, because there is difficulty for younger, older generation teachers to embrace the online teaching, which they prefer more of a traditional approach to teaching. So these external and internal challenges result in the compromise standards mentioned previously. And online cheating, for example, how do we control this, what I call cheat texting? Okay, cheat texting, because students are now easily sharing information. If they do online tests or quizzes, they can just screenshot the questions and then share. They can even create among them WhatsApp group where they would share information when they do exams online. So it becomes troublesome for teachers to monitor this compromise standard in teaching and testing. And the next question is, what are the strategies? I see these strategies from two perspectives. The first one is the short-term strategy, and the short-term strategy, and also the long-term strategy, the second one. So let's look at the short-term strategy. Basically, when this pandemic started, we basically are just trying to keep our head above water. We just try to keep our head above water because we basically just wanted to survive. There was no hint at all on what's coming. So surviving is the only what I should say method, you know. And when we come to method of survival, it's just whatever we could find just in order for us to survive. And the next one is the short-term strategy, jack of all trades and master of none. I don't use the last part, but I just use the first part because basically the teachers now had to deal with all sorts of problems. It's not only the emotional problem of students, the technological problems as well. So teachers are becoming like the jack of all trades, as described in this picture here. And those are the short-term problems I see. And now we come to the long-term strategies, is that I see that there needs to be an ongoing review, introspect, and improve if we really want to survive in this pandemic era in teaching English specifically. So this long-term review, introspect, improve will, I think, help personally all of us who are involved in English teaching, and also as institution, because it is not only one man's show. It's not only the teachers, but also the institution has to play some parts in the long-term solution to this problem. And the next one is the monitoring for standard at institutional level. Now, I emphasize much on the standard here because it is one major concern in this online era where everything is done online. For now, it is only the teachers, but the institution needs to also be proactive in monitoring the standard. Question number 4. What are the innovations? And we have seen one innovation explained by Dr. Datbao. And for me, I see that to reach this innovation level, there is a process. The process of being an innovative teacher, because it's not only for those who are digital natives, but it's for everybody basically. And this process is key to the successful reaching the level of being an innovative teacher. So for example, here I could be open-minded toward changes and challenges, and to have motivation to learn new ways of teaching. And the third one is to unlearn because, and the last one, to unlearn is very crucial because, you know, it takes as much effort to learn also, to unlearn. And it's kind of difficult. You ask a traditionalist teacher to teach online, and it requires a lot of effort to unlearn this traditional method of teaching and moving into a more online teaching. So be open-minded towards changes and have motivation to learn new ways of teaching and to unlearn are key in the process towards becoming a teacher, an English teacher who is categorized as innovative teacher. So yeah, open-minded, motivation, and unlearn. Now, how we
Thank you,
do that?
sir. Your time is less than 5 minutes.
Yes. So
Thank
this
you.
is the last slide, I think,
Yeah, okay.
is to utilize and integrate the online learning platform. For example, the learning management system, the social media platform, and I think we are familiar with Google Classroom, Teams, and Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, and etc. And we have to embrace this and we have to utilize and integrate this in our teaching. So the conclusion is, you know, COVID-19 is here to stay, and teachers are in a make or break situation now. Thus, professional and personal development is not an option anymore. And there is a need also for the institution to support in navigating the ways in this vast ocean of COVID-19 pandemic. I think that's all. Thank you so much for listening. And I have my email address there. If you're interested to contact or to communicate, please do so. I would be happy to.
Okay, there also will be a question answer session after
Okay.
this. Yeah. And thank you very much, sir, for the insight. I agree. The standard been compromised, but review, introspect, and improve. Always do that, and we will still keep going in this pandemic era. So we will
Yes.
move to our third speaker. He is the founder and CEO of Punya Harapan, a British Embassy's Jakarta's partner. This foundation provides a sustainable education for young prisoners in Indonesia with their pilot project spread in 34 provinces in Indonesia, focusing on computer literacy, English, and entrepreneurship. His bachelor degree from Samratulangi University and been awarded a scholarship from Australian government to study in Australian National University, Canberra, and got his master degree in 2009. Then again being awarded for another scholarship called Chevening Scholarship from Foreign Commonwealth Office, the United Kingdom, and got his MBA from Coventry University, London, the United Kingdom in 2016. He is the man with many achievements. Some of them are acknowledged as one of the best students at MBA level by Professor Gerald Navaratne, Coventry University London campus, awarded as a potential future leader by British Ambassador to Indonesia, Asian and Timor-Leste, Moazzam Malik at British Embassy 2015. Also been awarded as an extraordinary entrepreneurs creator by Commission 6 House of the Representatives of the Republic of Indonesia on March 2015. Let us welcome Pak Andres Hamenda, SA, MCOM, MBA. Sir, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Meta.
You're welcome.
And afternoon, everyone. Okay, can you hear my voice clearly?
Yes, yes, we can.
All right, good. Just wait for a while. I just want to share my screen. Okay. Okay. Well, I believe we've learned a lot from previous speakers. So in my session, I just want to share a story from our organization. So I divided my presentation into four main parts actually. First of all, I'm going to be talking about our organization called Punya Harapan. And then I'm going to be sharing with you the challenges, strategies, and innovations utilizing the experience we had in our organization. All right, so let's have a look for the first part. Um, Punya Harapan is the partner of British Embassy to deliver. So probably some of you don't know already about the Punya Harapan. So we deliver educational for juvenile prisoners in 34 juvenile prisoners in Indonesia. So actually this organization is an association of Indonesians who have once studied in the United Kingdom and Australia. And when delivering this, the subjects, we focus only on subjects like English, entrepreneurship, computer literacy, religious harmony, as well as vocational education such as barista workshop and barber workshop. So when we deliver our project, we also collaborated with local universities, just like you see in our slides, just like Samratulangi University, Manado State University, De La Salle University, and Sampurna University. I remember when I did my second master in London, I was really inspired to establish this kind of organization when I visit and observe and also talk to the education manager in a prison called Handel prison in Oxfordshire. So when I left United Kingdom for good, we officially conducted our first pilot project in Tomohon Juvenile Prisons, in which we deliver English and the other subjects for the prisoners for 4 months. And because this project is fully funded by British Embassy Jakarta, one of the coordinators came and also assessed our project. And when our project was considered successful, our project was also scaled up to the other provinces, such as Tangerang Juvenile Prisons and also Mataram Juvenile Prisons in 2019. Well, at the beginning of 2020, well, I think we all face the same problem, the same difficulties, the challenges as well. And in this year, actually, we intended to reach more juvenile prisoners in Indonesia. At the time, we planned to reach 8 juvenile prisoners across 8 provinces in Indonesia. But as we all know that we are facing these difficulties, we have to wear face masks all the time. And even if you would like to go and to conduct an event inside the building, we have to keep a distance for at least 1.5 meters from the other participants. The bad news as well, we received that the prisons that we are going to visit, they closed. They were closed for open public. So for public visit, I mean. So we didn't have any choice at the time. The only choice that we had at the time just only to conduct a webinar. So that's why we decided to teach English in a webinar. But then we had the questions in our mind, and probably this is going to be the questions for educators today. If you would like to conduct English teaching online, and I'll notice that when I'm talking about everything is on YouTube now, I'm not talking about a live streaming YouTube content. I'm talking about the recorded ones, the edited ones. So these 2 big questions we had in our minds when we were about to deliver our project through a webinar. So why do we still need to teach English in webinar? Right? Or the second question, can we just send them a YouTube link to watch? Because we know that everyone can easily access YouTube content. So that's the challenge. But the answer is no. At least we have to go beyond YouTube channel. Okay, we have to go beyond YouTube content. And here are the things that we listed. At least we have to add more values if we would like to deliver our projects or our education through a webinar. For example, we have to share our own experience. We cannot share other people's experience because participants may have heard the story or the experience. So once we've got our experience, then we have the value. We can share our story. We can share the uniqueness. All right. The other thing is the connection. We can make a real connection with participants. For example, by asking them a simple question: can you hear my voice? Can you see my slides? And so on and so forth. The other thing is we can create interactivity not only with learners, but also among the participants, including the trainers as well. So these three things we can add values if you would like to conduct English teaching through webinar. All right, now we know that we can now teach English in webinar. The other challenging questions is how are we going to engage participants? And some of them, for example, in our participants, they are juvenile prisoners. So they will find it difficult to operate with technology, sort of like Zoom or Google Form or Google Meet and so on, so forth, something like that. But at least in our organization, we can learn. We implemented at least 4 strategies and innovations when we try to deliver our English teaching for our participants. The first one is ability identification. First of all, before we begin our webinar, we have to identify our participants or our audience's English proficiency. And then we can just probably set up the learning objective with a simple and achievable based on the ability identification that we've done before, something like that. The third one is interactive teaching and learning. We can encourage our learners to participate, for example, by asking them questions. This will stimulate discussion immediately. For example, in our organization, I'm going to share our examples a little bit later, but I just want to explain it briefly. We can utilize teaching aids in one way. For example, our name is Punya Harapan, which is literally translated as have hope. So we can ask our participants to draw 3 of hopes. I'm going to explain it later. And then be flexible. When I'm talking about being flexible, I mean be prepared and be prepared to spare around 5 or 10 minutes for our participants if they find it difficult to complete the task, because normally we'll find it hard to, they will find it difficult to complete the task. Okay, I think we have discussion session after my presentation, right, Meita? Because someone is raising the hand.
Oh yeah, the question type in chat and then we will discuss after the presentation.
After the presentation, all right.
Yes.
Okay, all right. But thank you very much, Karina. All right, the fourth one is make sure that we have the real-time feedback and evaluation. For our, sorry, I forgot to discuss about the interactive learning teaching. The last one, for our drawing the 3 of hopes, this will also encourage collaborative work among participants. So that's the interactive learning and teaching in our organization. Last but not least, in our strategies, we also discuss participants' responses immediately. So for example, once they completed the task, We can just ask the other participants to contribute, to tell their point of views, because they really want their voice to be heard. So we can just ask them first. After that, if we find it they are moving to wrong direction, we can just immediately give them correction, or we can just correct their answers. And just make sure that we tell participants the value of their answers, so they will this will encourage them to participate. All right, so probably I'm going to move on to examples. When I'm talking about the ability identification of our participants, as you can see, this is the pictures. These are the pictures, the 4 pictures actually from different juvenile prisoners. You can notice that we've got the demography of our participants. So immediately we understand about the English proficiency. Or probably if we don't have this sort of participants demography, we can just say it in our webinar. For example, English for beginners or English for intermediate levels. Or if we can say that IELTS, then we notice that this is for advanced levels, something like that. Okay, learning objectives. In our organizations, we set around only 3 or 4 learning objectives. Just want to make it simple. And well, for example, at the end of the webinar, we expect that participants will be able to differentiate types of words. For example, verbs, nouns, adjectives, and adverbs. The second learning objectives, we can just mention that at the end of this webinar, participants will be able to make positive sentence, negative sentences, or interrogative sentences using present simple tense, present continuous tense, or future tense. Third learning objectives, this is what also we implement in our organization for juvenile prisoners. We ask or we expect our participants, they can express their dreams and their action plans utilizing future tense. All right, I'm going to show you a little bit later about this. And then last but not least, participants will be able to demonstrate English for job-related activities as a barista or barber. Okay, so when I'm talking about the interactive teaching and learning, this is one of the examples from our organization. For example, we will ask our participants to think about the plans they have for future using will or be plus going to. And then the next questions will be, so they will be asked to draw a tree of hopes. And then the next questions will be, what will I do, or what will I do or be in the next 5, 10, or 20 years? Okay. As you can see for the first picture, as you can see on the first picture, here, the red one, this is the dream. This is going to be their dream. So for example, they're going to write something like, I want to be a businessman in the next 10 years. And then on the green ones, they can write something like, they can write their action plans, something like, I will not, because they're going to design their future using future tense in a fun way, of course. So they're going to write something like, I won't commit crimes upon my release. The second action plans will be something like, I will visit the library in prison twice a week. The third action plan will be, I will read books from successful persons every week. So something like that. Okay. On the next picture, you can see these are our participants from different juvenile prisoners, from 8 juvenile prisons across 8 provinces, which were conducted uh, in August 2020. All right, and these are the pictures when we group the participants. So participants were asked in small groups, in a group of 5 or 8 people, and they're going to write. They're going to draw first trees of hopes, and then write their dreams and action plans. They're gonna have their dreams in the middle of the tree, and then the action plans. Right? Okay, just like I mentioned before, we are going also to give them feedback immediately. At the end of the session, they're going to show their drawings in front of the camera, because we are supported with the mentors or the officers inside the building. So they're going to bring it in front of camera and show us. And then we're going to discuss what the other prisoners' opinion, their point of view about this drawing. And then we're going to also give response and feedback immediately after the participants. Okay. All right. So that's the end of my presentation. If you have more, if you want to know more about our organization, you can just watch or visit Punya Harapan YouTube channel, and also you can visit our website at www.punyaharapan.com. Or if you want to contact us for future cooperation, you just send us email at support@punyaharapan.com. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for the sharing. And you suggest to go further than usual. Go further than our common practice before the COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, right. And according to your presentation, the interactive aspect is the key for a learning to be successful.
Sure.
Yeah, so you choose webinar, right? Because it
Yeah.
is more effective. Yeah,
That's
okay.
good. Correct.
Yeah,
I agree.
okay. Thank you. And then we will move. We will move to our last but not least speaker, one of our own, nice but tough lady, and have a brilliant career in education. Now she is our Vice Dean for Academic Affairs. She got her master and doctoral degree from Monash University, Australia, Faculty of Education. And recently, she is investigating deeply in gender issues, especially found in teaching material. She believes gender issue is crucial and must be carefully selected if integrated in teaching material, so the negative impact would be minimized. So please join me in welcoming Maya Waro SSM, whom MED PhD. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Meita.
You're welcome.
Well, can you hear my voice clearly?
Loud and clear.
Yes.
Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, I need a help from the committee to share the screen.
Yeah, it's already there.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Please allow me to share my ideas to this presentation. entitled Online English Language Teaching Materials. Then I will focus on benefits and challenges in promoting gender equality. Next. Well, I believe that the previous speakers have shared their insights on English teaching based on their teaching experiences. And the discussion is also taken from different contexts, such as the English language teaching practice in a private university, in a juvenile prison, and also in an overseas university. And it's very encouraging and also insightful. Well, we have talked a lot about it, and it is widely known that the recent situation has brought new paradigm in teaching, as well as the change in the curriculum and also in a teaching method. Well, the face-to-face learning activity right now is replaced, mostly by the online meeting, and consequently, teachers' teaching materials and method should be adapted in order to fit the situation happened recently. Well, in this opportunity, I would like to focus on teaching materials and what teachers should know about how to select suitable materials, particularly for promoting the gender equality. Next slide, please. Well, as we can observe, there are some types of materials, and teachers use online materials for teaching activities, such as the materials taken from social media. For example, YouTube, from the YouTube, from online Facebook maybe, or Instagram. And alternatively, some teachers also use electronic books and journals. Well, in some universities, including Samratulangi University, the teaching activities use online platform. It is called Inspire, Portal Inspire. And this platform, newly designed to assist teachers in planning, arranging, and evaluating their teaching. So it has an integrated system, which is developed a few months ago, and developed and launched a few months ago. Well, in my slide, I mentioned about the benefits and challenges, and the previous speakers, that Bao has mentioned the benefits and challenges, and also there was an interactive session as well. And I just need to repeat some points here about the benefits and the challenges. But as you can see from the slide, I will focus on the point number 1 about the biased contents, which are still found in the online teaching materials. Well, then the question will be how teachers can minimize this. The next slide, please. Well, I have a new model that I want to offer here. So in recent era, there are some aspects that you need to see. Well, first one, it deals with the progressiveness and neutrality The second one, yeah, about the digital visualization, the accessibility, and the last one is about the creators' ideas. What is behind, yeah, the creators' ideas reflected in their their teaching materials used or created. Next slide, please. Well, now in the printed materials, yeah, there are some analysis categories, yeah, that can be used to evaluate, yeah, the gendered content, yeah, inside the materials offered. So here you can see six categories. First, it is related with the gender-related job possibilities, gender-based activity types, stereotypes, sex roles, stereotype physical appearances, stereotype characteristics, and gender-based language. So those categories are easily found in the printed materials. However, yeah, if we use this, I can say an old categories, yeah, we can also add some more recent categories to analyze the gendered content. Next. Yeah, so the categories, yeah, or the types, yeah, are found here: the appearances, the gender roles, and the activities. Maybe we can discuss it more through the examples as shown in on the next slide. Yeah, so, well, probably it's hard for you to see this, yeah, but this material is taken from one of the, what do you call it? Story, yeah, from YouTube. Yeah, but then if you see the first picture here, yeah, it is clearly stated about the situation in which the concept of polygamy is introduced. Yeah, well, it is very sensitive in some countries, or for some I don't know what to say, for some people who have a different perspective about this. But then, yeah, teachers need to be very careful while selecting, the materials for their teaching activities. Then, another example taken from another story, still from the YouTube, taken from the YouTube. So the story itself is about a cruel mother, stepmother and stepsister. And in this YouTube story here, the character of the mother, and the stepsister, is really over exaggerated, about the cruelty, and it's not really educative, Well, then in next, on YouTube as well, So the figure of the mother, the female, it is it is always connected with the nature of female to have a child. So in a story about Timun Mas, it is described that how hard the mother is trying to get a child, and then what is it? Try to make a deal with the demon, or what is it, like a giant, and then at the end it caused trouble to herself. Well, the next picture is taken from another story, and it can, you as an audience can see how the character in there, is what is it? The characters are wearing makeup. So, in terms of gender content, the story reveals that all female have the same character. So female characters have what is it? Have a cruel character, have a particular or biased character. So in this case, as a teacher, you need to be very selective and careful in order to to minimize the gendered content that can mislead the students in understand the gender role itself. Well, then to conclude the presentation, next slide, please. I would like to say that online in English language teaching materials, still need to be selected carefully. So, I offered new models for evaluation, and also the teachers' creativity in adapting materials is needed and also important. So we see the example given by the first presenter, Dr. Datbau. So he involves a lot of teaching, teaching methods, including including music or cartoons. So it's very interesting. Well, then, we as a teachers need to improvise our teaching materials in order to face the problem right now, the situation right now. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, and I give it to Mita as a moderator.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, for sharing us about gender equality in teaching material. And all teachers, we should be proactive and also be more aware about these practices of the gender equality in teaching material, because yes, it is exists there in YouTube, in many English language teaching material. And we have finished our presentation from the speakers, and very good insights we already have. And I'm sure that there are many questions you want to ask to our speakers. So we move to our next session, which is the QA session. And if there is question, please type in the chat room and I will read. And don't forget to write down to whom you address your questions. And now we already have several questions. We have one questions from Bali. Yeah, in here. And again, everyone who follow this webinar from YouTube channel, please feel free also to ask questions, and we will read as well in here. So we will start with questions from Jane Waworuntu. From Jane Waworuntu from Bali. I'm not sure to whom she addressed, but based on the question, maybe to that. This is about the lectures and pedagogy. Uh, Jane Wawaruntu. My question is, during this global pandemic, in what ways have your lectures and pedagogy changed? I'm rooted in Bali, in Denpasar, Bali, and most, if not all in Bali, have been delivering lectures, courses, and one-to-one tutorials remotely since mid-March. Since the lockdown started, I've tried at least 4 different online platforms: Zoom, Collaborate, Microsoft Teams, and Google Meet. For my purposes, Teams has been the most successful as it is brilliant as an all singing, all dancing means all reaching students while sharing chats, one to one lectures, screen sharing, etc. I've also noticed that while some students struggle to engage through my online courses, many have become more proactive and appreciate the an interactive potential of remote courses. Thanks in advance. So the question, during this global pandemic, in what ways have your lectures and pedagogy changed? I give this time to Dad to answer the
Yes.
questions, please.
Yes. Thank you very much, um, Meta, and thank you, Jane, for asking this very good question. I think, personally speaking, from my own practice, I have 4 ways of practicing teaching that I think are different from the way I used to teach before. Number one, basically, I customize my teaching a lot. So, number one, I provide extra effort, extra support. So that support works with teams, not just me, but I work with others. And then personally, I put in a lot more work into designing lessons so that they speak by themselves. Because in a normal setting, you prepare what you think you will deliver, so the delivery will make a difference. But when you create a lesson that speaks by itself, you have to make it very self-inherent. So I put in a lot of instruction, a lot of visual, and simplify the lesson. So the extra effort is what makes it different. Number two, I personalize the lesson. So I will pick up from student posts before students meet me in a Zoom class. They already have responded to reading. They already responded to my question and have conducted online activities. So some of those things they responded was evident in forum posts. In the meeting, I will respond to those forum posts. I will say, you raised some very interesting question. You put in interesting ideas and I would like to respond to them. So I summarize, I structure, I comment, and I acknowledge. So I customize my teaching so that I will show that, I'm there for you. I'm always there. I listen to you. So personalize is number two. Number three is I use more art in teaching because I love art. Before I became a teacher, I was an artist. I play music and I was an actor for some time on stage. So I use a lot of artwork, artwork in my teaching. And I maximize, I look at my collection of artwork, things that I've created, things that I observed and collected over the year. And I try to see which of them those resources can be connected to which topic, and I'll carefully take them out, but I have to modify them. I spend a lot of time using art for teaching. For example, metaphor, an image, a picture, a story, a song, poem. I use some of those in my teaching. And then the fourth method that affect my pedagogy is I enlarge the space, because before students meet me, they go to, we call Moodle space, somewhere they use other um, instruments such as app, Blackboard and other things. So at Monash, we use Moodle. Before the COVID-19 pandemic struck, um, we didn't have too many resources. We didn't have so much mentoring and services, but now we have a lot of addresses. When you're in trouble, you can come here. When you need help with tutoring, extra tutoring, like help with exercises, assignments, way of writing, struggle with personal life, well-being team. So there will be tremendous amount of extra support everywhere on the Moodle space, as mobilized from the whole university, that support each faculty, and we share the same resources, but we also customize our own faculty or department resources to make learning easy. But I would like to take this opportunity to also respond to I think Dr. Mantiri's question, which is very important, that do we compromise standard? Because pedagogy and standard are together. And the way my colleagues responded to this issue is, first of all, no, we do not compromise standard, but we do provide the extra work in the following way. One, we give more support in teaching. Two, we give students more time. For example, the deadline of assignment is, say, 6 weeks, but after that, students struggle and say, can we have 3 more days
Nggak,
or
gini aja
6
lah,
more days?
sebagian masuk kan,
We have
sebagian.
three weeks.
Sebagian masuk.
Yeah. And then another thing is we are more generous in assessment. We make the rubric clearer, simpler, and we make it more friendly. Some of the items in the rubric that are so demanding, we took them off, and we make the rubric easier, but it doesn't compromise standard. It just shift the focus to something more important, and we took out the number. So we become a little bit more kind with the assessment. We make the assessment easy for students to understand. We modify assessment. We don't use exams anymore. No exam, only project work and essay. So in response to Dr. Mantiri's question, no, we do not change the standard, because later on, when students get the degree speak to a different standard that is not correct. So we keep the standard, but we modify the process so that we assist students step by step to reach that standard. Yeah, I hope I answer the question a little bit. Meta.
Okay, yeah. Hopefully, Jane will agree with all the answer and practice it. And then
Yes.
we move along to next questions. This question addressed to Dr. Dot and also Dr. Octavian. The question is how to overcome non-native students' psychology towards the unstable situation in order to understand EL teachers' point of view throughout the pandemic, and it is need an exclusive deductive approach too. How to overcome non-native student psychology. So who wants to answer? Maybe I give to that first, and then to Dr. Octavian. Maybe you want to
First of all, yeah,
answer
I
these
wish I.
questions?
Mm, I'm not sure I understand the meaning of non-native psychology. I would assume, yeah, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Non-native students struggle more with compared to native students in English proficiency, communication skills, and writing ability. Am I right? So there's a gap between non-native
Yeah.
and native speaking, yeah, English students, and how to bridge this. We always have what we call Monash Connect is a team that support with students writing. So we provide different services. Number one, a student can come personally, or they can book an online session personally to help them with writing, with questions about writing. Two, there's another team that take care of assessment. So there will be lecturers who are not teaching mainstream courses, but they stand by there to support students with assignment. When students get confused about the requirement of assignment or assignment quality, then these students come to these tutors, book a session. And so the extra help that we provide in terms of writing ability, in terms of explanation of assessment requirement, are those things that we do to bridge the gap between native and non-native abilities as far as English is concerned. I hope I answered the question, but I pass on to my colleague to also respond if you like.
Yeah, Sir Octavian, maybe you want to add more to Yesayas Laratmase's question about the psychology of the non-native in this pandemic.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to address it from my limited perspective, I guess, on the psychology field. But it is still in process of discovering, because when it comes to online meeting like this, how can the lecturers know the psychological effect of the students? And that is an issue that is still in debate on what should we do. And we have seen, if you go through the recent research on this pandemic effect on learners and teachers, I think it was published by BBC. You can find that in my reference. There is a concern that now the teachers are based on what they see on the screen. But what is beyond the screen, meaning what is beyond outside of that screen, we cannot see. And it is still in progress of assessing what is the best tool to assess students in terms of their psychological. But the study also does not only look at the students, but also the teachers.
Yeah.
Because the teachers are also affected psychologically in the way they have to teach and they have to assess. Because this is totally different from the traditional approach of teaching, where we can see person to person. So we can we can see even the facial expression, the real facial expression, and we can address immediately. As for online situation like now, it is almost impossible to know the real emotional status or the real psychological condition of our learners, because it is online. What we see is not real, it's not real. It is only the appearance. So in terms of how we deal with that, I guess what Dr. Bao has mentioned is another way. I think there should be an institutional level handling, and there needs to be a personal level handling also from the teachers, because it is difficult if only the teachers would deal with psychological effect of this, because the teachers also suffer psychologically. So there needs to be a way to address this. Unfortunately, in smaller institution, I think it's going to be a very, very challenging situation to address. Whereas for, like, for example, Monash University or more established universities, maybe like UNSRA, there may be ways and they have enough resources to put into this effort. So I guess it comes to individual expertise. And as I mentioned, we have to be the jack of all trades. We have to try our best as teachers to address this issue. And sometimes we need to look into the students. Now, one way I use in my class is I use a different learning management system, but also I use WhatsApp group, because in Indonesia, WhatsApp is popular. And that is one way I hope I would be able to address some psychological or emotional issues the students experience. And I mentioned to the students clearly that if they have problems, they can contact me in the WA class, or they can send me a private chat in WA. and I hope that will help. I also mentioned that not all their concerns I will be able to address because there are some limits also on that. So I think that is from what I see. Maybe there are other opinion on this problem, but this is a very significant concern. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, thank you for the answer. And then we move to next questions, time-wise. We have question to Mr. Hamenda from Billy Sakul. Would you please share some experiences to which an ex-prisoner, I would say, benefited from the English courses you've taught after release to normal life? Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you, Billy Melvin Sakul.
Yep.
It's a good question. And well, it's a long journey. That's I can say. Um, First of all, when we share our English course, we really hope that we share the same opportunities for the prisoners to access for education. All right. So we really hope that after they release, then they will be able to pursue higher education, for example, because they know they've learned about English. All right. And then if you probably I've actually explained about the learning objectives. On the fourth learning objectives, I mentioned that at the end of our English course, the prisoners will be expected to demonstrate the English for job-related activities as a barista and as a barber. So notice that in our organization, we also collaborated. In one occasion, I presented in Creative Economy Agency, and then they mentioned that they will have the prisoners for certification as a barista. But of course, they need us for the core competence. These core competencies are required for in international level. So, for example, if the juvenile prisoners, once they're released and they want to pursue career outside or overseas, they can be a barista, but then they have to have the certification. That's what we are going to do. For example, as a barista, we are going to help our prisoners to meet the standard. For example, as a barista, they know the core competencies they have to meet. They know how to make, they know how to operate manual brewing, and they also know how to the selling skills, also for the management of the coffee shop. These core competencies are required in international level, and they can pursue higher career as a barista in international. But that's why I told you it's a long journey. It's a long journey. But in our
Yep.
yeah, it's a long journey. But at least we have started. We have started, and we try to meet these core competencies for their certification. But that's a very good question. Thank you very much.
Okay,
I hope
thank
I
you.
answered the question.
Yeah, hopefully answer the question. And we move to question from YouTube. There is one question from Yuna Karubaba about the gender. So addressed to Memaya. Sometimes we cannot avoid gender content when we are teaching narrative text. My question is, what should we do dealing with the material? Memaya?
Well, okay, thank you. Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, I read some of questions. Yeah, and one of them is from Yuna Karubaba.
Yuna Karubaba, yes.
Well, of course, it will take time, yeah, to develop your own materials, including, yeah, for example, making video or yeah, any kind of interesting movie, for example. Yeah, so one of the solution, yeah, you can take from the available materials from YouTube, for example. Yeah, but then we face the problem with the gendered content. It is unavoidable since it is there. So the only thing that we can do as teacher, yeah, we must be selective. So before we give it to our student, we need to evaluate the content, yeah, and see whether it is good to be given to our student or not. So as I mentioned, yeah, I have some of what is it like a criteria, yeah, to evaluate the materials, but yeah, in order to what is it to select the materials carefully, you can, yeah, what is it? Yeah, you can use my criteria as well. But in a case of teaching the, what is it? The writing, yeah, the writing. So the specific question is about how to teach writing as well, yeah. So I will also answer the question from Marlin Donggala. So how, yeah, I usually use the Unsrat Zoom meeting, yeah, to teach the writing, yeah, and I usually use screen sharing, yes, so they can, what is it? Yeah, we can make a kind of activity like evaluating the product of writing, yeah, and then we change it, or we make a, what is it? We improvise it, or no, not improvise it, but we revise. Yeah, we revise the content. Yeah, through the screen sharing. So it is more, what is it? More interactive. Yeah, rather than just ask students to write themselves, then submit it to the teachers. Yeah, so that's one of my teaching strategies. Yeah, well, thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And we have another question to that. The question is, would you mind to share some specific type of assessment that can be used for the writing grading system, especially if we have to learn via online? And by the way, do you have any specific application or learning system, learning management system to assess writing or essay? Thank you very much. From Dewi Kobis. Would you please answer that? Hello. My connection is unstable.
Yes, sorry.
Hello,
I
can you hear
was,
my voice?
yes, I speak again. Yeah. In my own experience, most of the time when we assess writing, it was about essay writing. So we always have a rubric with all aspects of writing, but we don't really evaluate English language. Or the thing we don't do, because this is not an English program, but actually teacher education program. As far as apps are concerned, I don't really know any app that can help assess, but what I'm trying to say is just the weighting and the focus depending on task. But I have colleagues who teach creative writing, and language becomes very important, like word choice, the beauty of the language, the flow, and the images, for example, depending on the type of writing we're talking about. But as far as my teaching is concerned, it's the content. For example, I teach intercultural communication. I teach how to teach and learn. I teach leadership. So these are courses that I teach. And depending on the specific content of each course, that we develop rubric that speak to the need. Sometimes it can be easily obscurized when we don't teach language, but one of the item in assessment is English language, then students will complain. So we make sure whatever we do, we transfer the rubric in transparency to students so they need what is expected. But in order to support assessment, we don't just give them the rubric to read. We have a session that we explain the rubric to students. Then we provide sample. We show, for example, I would normally at the beginning of this course, I will showcase 2 samples. I will say today we spend 20 minutes talking about assessment and what is to expect, what is to be expected. And after explaining the rubric, what is the focus, I then show 2 samples. A good piece of work that get high marks and a very poor piece of work that get very low mark. And I would say nothing. I would show them and allow students to have like up to 10 minutes to study them and tell me which one is better. Then students study the rubric. They will connect the rubric with the quality of the essay excerpts, and then they can tell me. So we had an open discussion with everybody in which most of the time students will be able to point out which one is better. And then I will brainstorm. I say, why do you think this is better? We then make a list of characteristics so that students learn those characteristics. They will strengthen the essay. So we don't just assess, but we make sure students understand what is expected, and we make sure we have a session responding to their questions. And then we also provide sample talking about them, and we also put up sample in an online space. Students can go there and study. So we provide a lot of scaffolding in terms of shaping the quality of the work that is more important and is very better than technical. I hope I answer the question.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes,
And there
thank
is a
you.
question to Pa Octavian Mantiri. In this transitioning to online environment, what is the role of parents? How parents can support online learning? Sir Octavian, the question to Sir Octavian.
Okay, thank you. Well, this is a very good question. And I think parents all want to know the secret potion for this. Unfortunately, there is no clear uh, guidelines on how the parents could support, because it depends first on the economic level of the parents, the economic status. It depends on also on the region, and it depends also on the level of education of the parents. And what I can say is that there are some basic things, however, that parents can do, and these are very simple to help support their children's online learning. For example, the first one is that the parents should show support. That is a very important step. Support here means the parents would not disturb them during class hours, for example, when they have lessons. The parent supports their scheduling. The parents would know what class the children will have, and they will always remind them, okay, your class is coming up soon, so you need to prepare. So the support of the parents in terms of knowing the need of their children in their scheduling of the classes. And the second one is, I should say that the children will look at their parents whether they really are enthusiastic or not. Because good support from parents is to show that the parents really care for the students in their online learning. And that the parents also will do whatever it takes for them to be successful, even though it's online learning. So the hard work and the persistence of parents also can be a contagious thing towards their children or their child. So give a model, okay, give a model for their children. And the third one, and it's a very important thing, is that if possible, the parents should set a workspace for their children, and this needs to be consistent. So, for example, it's going to be difficult for the children if they have to learn. Okay, today you will learn in your living room, and then next you will learn in your bedroom. So they tend to move or change places. But if they are assigned into one specific room, then they will feel that, okay, this is the classroom, even though it's online, that they feel that when they come to this specific workspace, that this is class, and the parents need to support. And I think that is three simple ways
Yeah.
how parents can support online learning. And as I mentioned, it also depends on the situation or the context. Because I have had a case, my students, some of my students did not have reliable internet connection. So what they would do, they would climb up to the roof of their house to look for network. And this is going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And then we have another question to Memaya, Dr. Waro. Indonesia is patriarchal. How do you find your materials on YouTube? Are there patriarchal based matriarchal, or there is a shift to become in a neutral mode?
Yeah.
From Billy Sakul.
Yeah, Meta. I think my answer will be the same as what I answered to Yuna Karubaba. So in this case, yeah, the materials, the available materials are there. So we could not, what is it? As a teacher, we cannot change it. So if you want to use it, then should be fine. Yeah, please use it. But then the teachers must be really careful, yeah, in selecting the materials. So it is the process is called adaptation. So teachers need to do adaptation, teaching materials adaptation, in order to minimize the gender content. Or, well, as my example, yeah, you can also what is it? Give more explanation about the gender content itself. Yeah, so that's one of the solution that I can give. Thank you, Meta.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Is there any questions? Is anyone who wants to ask question? Just raise hand, and then our host will unmute to ask question directly. Is there anyone? Oh, we have another question from Richard Kopong. Richard Kopong. The question is addressed to all presenters. Oh, what are your strategies and innovations to teach in a limited area where I teach Tanimbar Archipelago Regency? There are three problems that confuse me how to teach in this pandemic situation. First, not all students have smartphones. Second, not all students who have smartphones have internet package. Third, the internet connection is not very good in our area. So the question is, what is your strategies and innovations during this pandemic situation with this kind of limitation? Who wants to answer? Because this addressed to all presenters. Maybe I ask first to Dr. Dat to answer
Yes,
the
thank you.
questions.
Yes, I only have two strategies here because some of my students are actually learning from China and they have very limited access because, first of all, not just because internet quality, but also the government of China kind of banned a number of apps and services such as YouTube, Gmail, and a lot of other things. So some of my students complain they have no access. Even when sometimes I set up a Zoom lesson, they can't attend or halfway through they lost connection. So I do two things. Number one is asynchronous teaching. So I recorded my teaching and then I put it up online. Second, I create question and answer space so that they can always revisit. But I think the big thing is recording. So there are two kinds of recording. One is recording the actual real-time discussion like here. So I press the record button and I put it up somewhere for them to go back to so that they can see how their classmates interact. Two is I actually prepare well with script and then I present my lesson in a way that students can always go back there and it's very neat, it's very clear, very well structured. They can study. So the meeting is not about the lecture anymore, but the meeting in a Zoom lesson is more about the interaction that follow up on what is already there. Even when they miss that, I will then send back the follow-up summary. So I address things that definitely related to the lack of facility.
Okay, thank you. Maybe
Yeah.
Sir Octavian would add some more.
Yeah, I just like to add. It's mentioned three problems here. The first
Yeah,
is
3 problems.
that the students not all students
The
have
first, no,
smartphones,
yeah, don't
and I
have
think
smartphones.
to tackle this issue, I think it's going to be quite difficult. Having a smartphone is not something that is uh, affordable for many. And I guess the only way to deal with this lacking of smartphones is, for example, if the students are located nearby to each other and it's uh, easily accessible. For example, if one students one student would have a good or reliable internet connection, then the other students who are living close by, who do not have or may not have reliable internet connection or internet package or smartphones, uh, the teacher would suggest to the parents, talk to the parent first and see if they would be willing to accommodate some of the children's friends to learn together or join as a group, as a small group. That is one way. But again, it's going to be up to the teachers to decide. But that is one possible way of doing that. Because I've heard of people who do that in reality, where one students do not have, but because he or she is living close to a friend that has good internet connection, then these children would join them. And the second question is about the internet package. I think the Indonesian government uh, has initiated to subsidize the internet package. If I'm not mistaken, it
Yeah.
was launched a few months back. And I think teachers should uh, make the most of these subsidies by the government. And I don't know whether it's still available now, but I think it's worth investigating. Perhaps the teacher would go and contact maybe the education or department or something to find out about this, because this is a very great initiative from Indonesian government to provide about 20 or 50 gigabyte internet for free, but they need to register their number. So there is one possible answer for that. And the third question is internet connection is not very good. As I mentioned, they need to work together. The teachers need to find out the students and their locations and suggest. And it all depends on the students if they would take the suggestions or not. I think that's what I can say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And this webinar will come to an end. What a fruitful webinar. And what I can summarize is go the extra mile, go beyond what we usually practice, and give more support to all parties, teachers, students, even parents. We give more support, we add more support, and just like Dr. Dot say, don't be afraid to act stupid in order the students to learn more from you. And yeah, the conclusion is go the extra mile, go the extra
Thank you.
mile and give support, more support in this pandemic situation, so we can overcome this. And hopefully this pandemic COVID-19 is soon be over, and we will have our activities back to normal again. So we will come to the end of this webinar. I will ask uh, the secretary of the committee, Stephanie Sigerlaki as SM Hum, to give closing remarks. To ma'am, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Meita.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the honorable speakers, I bet almost all of the participants here still want to have to hear or to learn many things from the experts. Yeah, but however, unfortunately, we have reached the end of this webinar. So, on behalf of the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and all the board of the committee, we would like to say our sincere gratefulness for all the outstanding speakers, yeah, as the experts, yeah, from this for this webinar, they that have uh, spend time and also share insights and motivation, methods, experiences for us as teachers and students. It's been an honor for us, member of the Faculty of the Humanities, to have such an occasion, yeah, to hold an webinar and to have all of these experts, Dr. Datbao, Dr. Octavian, and Andreas Hamidi,
Haminda.
Vice Dean of Academic Affairs, also Mr. Presence is very invaluable. So once again, thank you very much, and also we are gratefully appreciate all the supports from the committee that have support us to help this webinar. And also, I would like to say thank you very much for the moderator, Mrs. Meta Kapo, and
My
special thanks for
pleasure,
our
ma'am.
technical supports from Mr. Roger Kembuan. Once again, thank you very much. We do hope that we can have such a face-to-face seminar. Hopefully, we can do a face-to-face seminar soon with these experts. So once again, on behalf of the committee and of our Dean of the Faculty of Humanities, Mr. Raymond Mawikera, MA, we would like to say thank you very much. God bless
Okay.
us all.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And all participants, should you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to contact our speakers. They already provide you their emails, right? All speakers. If there is any participants who want to contact you, ask you questions through emails, is it okay?
Perfectly fine with
Yeah.
me.
Okay. So if anybody wants to have discuss further discussion or anything, please do not hesitate to email our speakers today. Thank you very much, and we will have our photo session. So please, everybody, to open your video. Everybody, to open your video, please. And please, host, to stand by. Who wants to take the photo, the screenshot? Maybe we'll have we wait the cue from you, Roger. Everybody, please open your video.
Let me do the photo session.
Yeah. Uh,
Smile, everyone.
Smile. Maybe we
Okay,
wait the cue from
next.
you. Okay, next.
Next slide, next screen. One smile, 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Again, maybe.
Okay, next, the third screen.
Screen.
Ready? Okay. And the fourth screen.
Don't forget to smile. Say cheers.
Yes. Smile, cheers. Fifth screen. Smile, everybody.
Smile.
Okay. And then the sixth. We have 10 screens. All right. The seventh. And the eighth. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Okay. The name. Last one.
We have 10 screen.
Okay. And the last screen. Okay. It's done, Meita.
Okay, yeah, okay. It has been our pleasure to host this event, and hopefully it would benefit us all. And to us all, have a pleasant day ahead, and God bless you. See you and stay healthy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
Very
you.
much. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Mao.
you.
Thank
Thank
you, Kak
Bye. Thank you,
Thank
Kat,
you, Mr.
Kat.
thank you.
Fabian.
Bye.
Fabian.
Dr.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Octavio,
Andrea.
Mr.
Andres.
Thank you.
Andrea.
Thank you.
Thank you.